Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. Now, we're going to talk to you today about our favorite late round sleepers, but we're not just going to name players. We're going to show you how we pick in the later rounds. We're starting this draft already more than halfway through. We're in round 10, and we're going to show you when the board, how the board falls, when we're going to pick the guys that we like. Let's start with you, Chris, because you're on the clock. Now, given your roster construction right now, it looks like you're going anchor RB or hero RB, whatever they call it these days. You got Najee at number 10, which is ridiculous. Actually, you didn't even have to draft him number 1 overall. That's not fair. And I don't know how you pulled off Sutton as your wide receiver 3 and Allen Robinson at wide receiver 4. So you basically already won, right? But you still need to fill out your roster. You need upside. Injuries happen. What are you thinking right now in round 10?
Yeah, I'm really loving this roster. Honestly, I hope my real drafts play out like this. And I feel like I also have Goddard and Lance, and I have 2 decent RB2s in Edmonds and Dillon. So I really feel like there's a lot of ways I could go here when I look at this, as far as the sleepers go. And I know you agree with me, when you get into these double-digit rounds, we're just swinging for the fences at this point, right? We're trying to draft guys who can be true difference makers. We're not just trying to draft guys who are going to score 8 to 10 fantasy points and be bye week fill-ins. So there's a guy here jumping off the page for me. I do probably need running back a little more than I need wide receiver. So getting Rachaad White here, to me, just feels like a no-brainer pick. Look, I don't know if you saw the picture. Yeah, Leonard Fournette's lost some weight, but he still has a belly. He still doesn't look like he's in great shape. Rachaad White already getting praise for his pass catching. I told you guys he was an incredible pass catcher. He's at worst going to have the Gio Bernard pass catching role that we used to see with James White in New England. And I think he could have an even bigger role, in the early down game, especially if Fournette is out of shape and not really motivated, which I'm kind of feeling like that might be the case. So getting Rachaad White in the 10th round, to me, that could be an absolute league-winning pick.
Look, I totally agree. And here's the thing. We know White's one of your guys. All of you who are in the Discord already, you chat with us every day. You know this, right? Rachaad White is definitely one of Chris's guys this year. But it all makes sense. It doesn't even have to do with Fournette's weight and all this issues. You were on Rachaad White, I think, before he even got drafted, and then just even more so after he went to Tampa. Look, Leonard Fournette or any running back is not getting 100% of the touches. So you talk about a running back who's going to catch passes from Tom Brady, who likes to dump it off. He's a smart quarterback. Yeah, this is a huge upside pick. And like you said, we have talked about this more and more as we talk with our community. Upside is what wins championships. All right, now let's look at my roster real quick. So I kind of went similar. I waited till round 2. I got Justin Jefferson, which I'm pretty happy about because I think he's the wide receiver 1 overall this year. Sorry, Chad. It's going to happen. Saquon Barkley is my guy I'm counting on. So then, look, I got a tight end who I like. I got 3 stud receivers. Yes, Rashad Bateman is a stud. I'm probably going to go ahead and take the guy I don't want to slip, even though I don't really necessarily need another wide receiver, but I'm going for just pure talent here. And you know what? I'm going to change course. I know I said some bad things about Kadarius Toney in the past, but who has more upside at this point in the draft? We already know he could be the wide receiver 1 for the Giants. He's a guy they're going to try to get the ball in his hands, get it in space. He has that huge weak winning potential. So even though he's a Florida Gator, I'm going to put him on my roster. All right. Now, let's be real. We're playing this out like a real draft. Sometimes teams do things like take 2 quarterbacks when they don't need to. I was ready to pull the trigger on my quarterback, and it was going to be Derek Carr. I've talked about how Derek Carr, I think, will be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Derek Carr got taken by Team 7, even though he already had Kyler Murray. Trust me, that's going to happen. So I'm going to pivot to my other quarterback here because I know that one of these teams is probably going to take a second, maybe a third quarterback before I get to go. Not much needs to be said here. It's Tua. And look, I already got Jalen Waddle. I got the Tua Waddle connection. This offense is just going to be different, all right? And don't take my word for it. Ignore the Dolphins hat back there. Seriously, Mike McDaniel is going to change this offense. It's going to be where Tua is going to get the ball out of his hands, get into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Chase Edmonds, get into the hands of these dynamic playmakers. So to me, Tua, you cannot deny he does have at least top 10 quarterback upside. And so for me to wait and get a guy like that, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, plus, you get to root for Tua, which I know you like that.
It helps. It helps.
Now, I'm going to go with another running back here. And generally, my strategy in these late drafts is to go pretty running back heavy. This is a guy I talked about a few videos ago on our league-winning handcuff video, which you haven't seen, you should go back and watch. And now we're hearing Sean McVay saying the Rams, he feels like he has 2 starting running backs with Cam Akers and this guy, that is Darrell Henderson. Even if Darrell Henderson isn't technically a starting running back for the Rams, I still think he has decent, value from week to week in a pinch, but he also has huge upside if Cam Akers should get hurt. So I like that pick here. And then I'm going to go with a rookie. And there's a couple of rookies here that I kind of like similarly, but I think I'm going to go with Dotson over Pickens just because I feel better about his role, especially, I don't know, I like Curtis Samuel. I wanted to draft Curtis Samuel as a sleeper, but now he's already not practicing again in camp, and I can't go through this again like we did last year with these injuries. I can't deal with it. If Curtis Samuel can't go this year, Dotson's going to have a big role. And I just feel a little bit better about Dotson catching passes from Carson Wentz than I do about George Pickens catching passes from whoever the Steelers QB is going to be. So I'm going to go with Dotson here. I think he's one of those rookies who could pay off in the second half of the fantasy season, which is really the most important part of the fantasy season.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I had Dotson queued up there, so he would not have made it back to you if you hadn't taken him there, because I would have used one of my picks here on him. He's been talked up in camp, has great hands, hasn't dropped anything, is what they're saying. So, yeah, I think that's a smart pick. Okay, so looking at my roster, yeah, I need more running back upside, especially because as much as I like Rashad Penny, there's no guarantee he lasts more than 2 quarters this season. So, who's available? Not too many appealing picks. Look, I know my guy Marlon Mack is out there. That's kind of a safe-ish pick. I'm going to go with a guy who is now a lot more interesting to me. I was all over Kenny Gainwell last year. He didn't get as many touches as I would have liked, but now we're already seeing it's basically a 3-back rotation where they're kind of all running with the ones. Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders. Gainwell was the most efficient of their running backs. He actually is a guy who gets more goal line work than Miles Sanders. I think he scores more touchdowns. He's a better pass catcher by far. So I like Kenneth Gainwell there. I think he could wind up being the Eagles' RB1 this year. So a lot of upside there. And then instead of Dotson, since he's not there, look, Jalen Tolbert could be the number 2 target in terms of wide receivers for Dallas. I know I got Dalton Schultz already, but look, James Washington is out how many weeks? Several weeks already. I think they said 6 to 10. Michael Gallup, he's not ready for week 1. Jalen Tolbert on the Dallas Cowboys offense that was one of the best in scoring last year. Tons of upside.
Yeah, love that pick, actually. Definitely would not. He would not have made it back to you had you not taken him there for sure. I'm all over Jalen Tolbert, and with the James Washington injury, his value's even higher now. So I do have some running backs queued up here. Let me see who else I have. I feel like I probably need to go wide receiver here. And there's a few guys I like down here. So if you see my queue right here, I've got Alec Pierce, KJ Osborne, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I was really high on early in the offseason before we thought Watson was going to get a year-long suspension. Now it looks like he's only going to get 6 games, so I'm kind of back on him again. Also, Nico Collins. I'd probably be happy with 2 of these guys. I'm going to start with KJ Osborne. I'm not going to lie. That was close for me. Simply because, we did just hear Irv Smith just had finger surgery. He's going to miss. They said hopefully he's ready for the start of the season. I doubt it. So it could be more targets coming KJ Osborne's way. I feel like he could start supplanting Adam Thielen as that wide receiver 2 there. And if Thielen gets hurt, which has happened the last few years, I think his value goes way up. And then I'm going to grab one of those other wide receivers that I had queued up here. I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Donovan Peoples-Jones. We know he's the big play guy there. Wow. I don't know how you get a wow on your last pick, but thanks, Sleeper. We know he's the big play guy there. And we're starting to hear rumblings that he has a really good connection with Deshaun Watson already. So I think he gives me a lot of upside there in the last round. So he's going to be my final pick.
Yeah, look, and I like Peoples Jones for sure. Nico Collins, if I need another receiver, I probably would be taking Nico Collins here, but I think I definitely need a running back. A lot of choices. I'm interested in Ty Davis Price, but this is a full PPR league. I'm going to go with a guy I think will be a little bit more involved in the passing game. And also, talk about high end handcuff. If Joe Mixon goes down for whatever reason, we could see a lot of Captain America. That's Chris Evans. Look, we already know that he could cut into the third down role. Talked about Mixon catching the ball less. Evans, really efficient pass catcher. He's somebody who could supplant Samaje Perine. And like I said, high end handcuff on a really good young offense. Evans it is. All right, Chris, how you feeling about this team? Now, we already took care of the early on. Of course, killer squad, especially with our anchor RB strategy here. We're going to talk a little bit more about how do we approach running backs in general in the early rounds. That's a different video that we're going to do for you. But in the late rounds, again, how many guys do you have? Because it seems like you got guys you're happy with, but sometimes you have to pivot, right? Those guys are not always available.
Yeah, I'm happy. I liked my first 9 picks a lot. And I love the upside I got with those last few picks. I shored up my running backs a bit with some depth there with White and Henderson. And then I love those last 3 wide receivers. All guys that may not pay off right away, but that's kind of what you're getting with sleepers, but guys who could definitely see their roles increase as the season goes on.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have to adjust your thinking too. Like we do mock drafts every week. We've done so many drafts throughout this offseason. And some of these guys that I'm taking now, I wasn't taking a couple months ago, but you get more information and things change. So, you have to go with what you got. As far as the current information, we're always trying to help you. That's why we have the Discord. Join it. If you haven't already, there's a link in the description below. And join us for our mock drafts every Thursday, guys. We're here to try to help you win your draft.